What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 324, and it's one of our prestigious Patreon poll winning episodes. And we're talking about the game that conquered 7 others to take down our NES poll back in January. And that, of course, is Capcom's Darkwing Duck for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I have not played this one, but I wanted to. I had not played this one prior to now. Now I've played it, of course. But I wanted to. I've wanted to for quite a while. I bought the Disney Saturday Afternoon Collection like a fucking year ago with the intention of playing Darkwing Duck because people kept telling me that it had like a little bit of Mega Man DNA in it, which obviously is what I'm all about. And Capcom knocked it out of the park with some of their other Disney games like DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers on the NES. So I had no reason to think that they wouldn't deliver with Darkwing Duck. And they did. I will say I don't think I like it quite as much as those other games I just mentioned, but that's also a really high bar. This one is good. It's very good. It's nice and tough, just the way I like my NES games. My only criticism of Darkwing Duck is that it just feels a little empty, like rushed, just a little bit. Like what's there was fantastic. I just would have liked a little bit bigger serving. Couple more levels, a little bit longer, couple more enemies. Just that's all I'm talking about. But it plays solid. It looks nice. I love the music. If your biggest complaint about a game is that you wish there was more of it, that's not the worst thing in the world. I definitely think Darkwing Duck is tougher than a lot of the other Capcom Disney games like Chip 'n Dale and DuckTales and Little Mermaid and stuff like that. It definitely has some Mega Man DNA in it. You can choose your level order, and it's not a matter of if you're going to die while you play Darkwing Duck, but how many times? But it also seemed pretty forgiving. It's got the infinite continues. If you die over and over, you're going to learn what's coming. There's not a lot of RNG. It gets a lot easier. The bosses. Oh, the fucking bosses were what gave me fits, as you're going to hear about on this episode. My guest this week is my boy Bradley McCue, and we both agreed Darkwing Duck, pretty solid little NES game. No major controversies here, with one exception. Our lack of Darkwing Duck lore knowledge. Bradley didn't know the show, and I actually watched Darkwing Duck pretty religiously as a kid, but my God, it hurts to say these words. That was almost 35 years ago. Fuck me. I haven't watched Darkwing Duck in over 3 decades. So my knowledge of I don't remember any of the villains or anything. I just remember Darkwing Duck. So please withhold your judgment, you die-hard Darkwingers. I remember the theme song and I remember the catchphrase, and that's really all you need. And we'll get to all that in just a moment, because speaking of getting dangerous, if you see what I did there, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun! And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. Thanks for listening. Consider this your warning. Our intros, they've gotten kind of long, but they're a good time. They're fun. And you don't need to call DW to get past them. If you want to skip it, you just take your finger on the little slider thing and you move it to about the 30-minute mark. I'm getting pretty good at timing them into about that 30-minute mark. And then you'll get into the game chat and everything, all right? I do have to do my plugs. If you'll indulge me for just a minute, we have to keep the bills on around here. We have all kinds of merchandise. It's pretty nice. And you can find it all at rememberthegamepodcast.com. Shout out to my man Joe, the uber-talented sumbitch that designed it all from 4545 Creative. And of course, the lifeblood of the bank account that is Remember the Game is our Patreon. We publish up to 4 extra shows over there every week. They don't have any ads in them. You can listen to them for as little as $3 a month. You can also write into the show, including Play One, Remake One, Erase One, pardon me. You get to vote on the games we cover. We have a 1,000+ member Discord that you're welcome to join. You get instant access to hundreds and hundreds of archive bonus podcasts we've already released. And most importantly, you get a shout out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I don't think I'm going to do this week. I think I'm going to nail these. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons, Game Genie US, Carter Barco, and Kyle Engstrom. 3 for 3, maybe? Thank you all so much for the support. Welcome to the community. Patreon.com/Remember the Game. There's a couple of freebies over there too, if you want to go over and see how it works. And I'm going to just, no, I'm not going to. I was going to tip my hand at something, but my hand remains steadfast. It shan't tip yet. It will tip eventually, but it shan't tip yet. Patreon.com/Remember the Game, $3 a month. And if you sign up for a year, you get your 12th month for free. That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you, right? That's why I'm here. It is our opening segment on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Jake Ashford, who said, "Hey, Adam, sorry if you've answered this in a podcast and I've just missed it, but do you and Mark McCue still dabble in stand-up comedy? I checked you guys out on YouTube and you're some funny gentlemen. If President's Choice made people and Mark's story about the cop helping him look for the weed in his car had me killing myself laughing. Either way, I hope you guys are doing well." Thank you for asking, Jake. I do get asked about stand-up a lot, and I just wanted to, I am a stand-up comedian by night, but as you heard me say in some of the earlier episodes, but I will say here in 2025, I'm not really doing a lot of stand-up. I have 8 shows left right now in 2025, and they're all private events or fundraisers that I've already signed on to partake in. And I'm kind of taking an indefinite sabbatical from the world of stand-up after that to focus on RTG and some other projects away from the show. I've been doing comedy for almost 10 years, and I'm kind of just burned out on it. So I can't speak to Mark. I know he's not doing as much of it as he used to, but I do get asked quite a bit, "Hey, where can I see some of your stand-up?" You can find some of it on YouTube, and you can find some of it on Spotify and Apple Music and all that kind of stuff. Other than that, I don't really have any public shows. I'm not allowed to work in the States, not because of my past or anything, but I don't have a work visa, and I don't want to get kicked out of the U.S. because I like going down there. So I can only perform in Canada, and I just don't have a lot on the books right now. Maybe eventually I'll get that itch, and I'll go back. But at this point, I am going to leave the comedian thing in the description of Remember the Game because I think it helps get listeners. But I'm a 9-year semi-retired comedian, and I would leave it at that. But you can find him on YouTube and stuff if you're interested. And Dr. Link, on the note of comedy, said, "Hey, Adam, I know you're kind of checked out on stand-up lately, and I know Jerry Seinfeld is your guy, but which big comics currently on the circuit do you like? I think Nate Bargatze is really good." This is another thing I get asked a lot, and I know it's going to kind of be a lame answer. I don't watch any stand-up, any of it. Bill Burr, I guess, by default would be my answer because I do like Bill Burr, but I've never seen Nate Bargatze. I don't know. What's his name? Shane Gillis, the guy that got fired from SNL. I know he's huge now. I just don't watch it. As soon as I started doing stand-up and realized how the sausage was made, I was never the world's biggest stand-up guy, but I just kind of stopped watching it. I know I've answered these questions before, but it's been a while and we have new listeners. So I just wanted to, I don't really watch a lot of stand-up comedy. Yeah, I don't know. What does Estelle Costanza say? I don't laugh or something like that. I like the art. You know what it is with stand-up? I like the art of it more than laughing at a joke. I'm not a big laugher at a joke, laugh out loud at a club, but I love watching. What I do like about stand-up is seeing the way a comedian writes and polishes their joke and delivers it, and the way they took a pause there that added to the funniness, or the way they change their voice, or they add, it's the intricacies of how the sausage is made that fascinates me. But I don't have a favorite. I guess Bill Burr, but I don't really have a favorite comedian. So not all these questions would be about comedy. I get asked about it a lot. So every few months I like to dabble and answer some FAQs, as they say. Oh, fuck, dude. I should have mentioned this off the top. I'm sorry. If you're listening to this and you're on Reddit, please join our subreddit. We're creeping up on 800 members. I really want to hit 1,000. I'm in there semi-regularly. I'm going to try to do an AMA and ask me anything later this week. If anyone ever wanted to yell at me or ask me a question or anything. So just look for Remember the Game on Reddit and throw us a join and get in there. And let's see if we can't pump those. Those are rookie numbers. Let's see if we can't pump those numbers up to 1,000, okay? Ian Blanchard said, hey, Blank Man, what was the game that your younger brother needed help in and you could swoop in like a boss and confirm your older brother's supremacy? I was there for my little bros for Super Star Wars on the SNES, Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil, and Tomb Raider. Definitely not Final Fantasy VII or anything. By the PS1 Nintendo 64, we were mostly just fighting with each other. Josh and I. I don't remember helping him with a lot of games. Mario, I definitely helped him with a little bit of Mario back in the day. That was kind of my thing. Other than that, though, I didn't, he would just quit. Over asking me for help. He would usually just quit a game. But Mario and a little bit of Super Mario Kart were the two that I vividly remember him. He'll fucking deny it, but he needed Big Brother's help a little bit. Mark McHugh's, for what it's worth, he's like an electrician, and I need his help to install ceiling fans now, so he won. But Mark McHugh's high school PE teacher said, I really enjoyed the NES DLC expansion pass, and it got me thinking, do you think there's a big enough market for Nintendo to re-release old NES classic games with new content and cleaned up HD graphics? I feel like this worked with the Super Mario Advance games on the GBA. It would have several of us in the 40-plus crowd throwing our money at them. I absolutely think they could. If you have not played them, I can't believe they never released them on Switch. I do not understand for the life of me why they were never re-released on Switch. But if you still have a Wii U or a 3DS, check out the NES Remix games. That's kind of what those are. Not the better graphics, but new content for old games. And NES Remix is fucking awesome. I'm shocked we never got Super Nintendo Remix, and I don't know how they never released them on the Switch. If Nintendo thinks they can sell you an old game, they'll fucking sell it to you. So I don't know why they didn't do it with that one. But I absolutely think there's a market for that. And yeah, check out NES Remix if you haven't played them. They're fucking awesome. Caveman Lance said, I just listened to your NES DLC episode of Expansion Pass. For the record, that was our episode that went live last week on Patreon. That's what they're talking about. Caveman said, then a little later, while on a YouTube binge, I came across a Dorkly compilation, and lo and behold, they had an episode with NES DLCs. Wondering if you'd ever watched any Darkly episodes, and if you have you seen the DLC ones? So I'm assuming one of those is a typo from Caveman Lance. I genuinely don't know if it's Dorkly or Darkly, but I've never heard of them. So maybe I'm just an out of touch old man, but I'm not sure what Darkly or Dorkly is. That's another thing I get asked about a lot. Like, favorite comedian is like, what gaming content creators do I watch? I used to watch AVGN a lot. I still like the guy, but I don't really enjoy his new vids that often. I still watch his old stuff sometimes. I like watching Wrestling Bios, wrestling video game content. Wrestling Bios as a whole is my favorite YouTube channel. Check them out. Summoning Salt, acquaintance of the show, does these phenomenal documentaries about speedrunning. So check out Summoning Salt after you listen to the interview we had with him on here. He's fucking awesome. I think that's about it. And then just random reviews. Like, I'll look up a random review of a game I'm getting ready to play just to see what other people think of it. But unlike comedy, I have no problem with other video game content creators. It's just now that I create so much of it myself, I feel kind of burned out, so I don't watch as much. So yeah, to answer your question, no, I've not watched or heard of, I don't know if it's Dorkly or Darkly. I'm going to Google it right now, because if I don't, I'm going to get fucking messages out my ass being like, oh, it's fucking Darkly, or it's Dorkly. Or Darkly. Probably should go to YouTube and not Google. Hang on a second here. Good podcasting. Dorkly. No, not Dora. Dorkly. Dorkly. Holy Jesus. 4 million YouTube subscribers. They might have a future at this. No, I've never heard of them before. Dorkly. Sound like a bunch of dorks. Awful. Now you see why I don't do stand-up anymore. Diablo Spartan said, hey, Adam, I've been catching up on recent episodes, and I wanted you to weigh in on something. In your opinion, what will we get first? Half-Life 3, Grand Theft Auto 7, or World Peace? I genuinely think there's a realistic chance that we blow ourselves up or AI kills us off before any of those three games happen. But just to be less gloomy and more happy-go-lucky, Half-Life 3, I think, is the most realistic. Half-Life 3, GTA 7, or World Peace. Because, like, GTA 7, if GTA 6 drops this year, let's just say it drops by the end of next year, in case it gets delayed. If it drops by the end of next year, then we're probably playing GTA 7 by 2035, 2036. World Peace isn't going to happen by then. If Half-Life 3 hasn't happened, I'll sit here right now and say if Half-Life 3 hasn't happened by 2030, Half-Life 3 is not happening. I still think we're dead before any of them happen, but Half-Life 3 is the most likely. Steve S. said, I bought my very first PlayStation 1.5 years ago. It was a PS5, and I've played Spider-Man, God of War, Astro Bot, and Ratchet & Clank. I really enjoyed Ratchet & Clank and decided to go back in the archives to play the original games. First one was a little rough with aiming, but I persevered. Any other PlayStation titles you suggest starting first before playing the latest installments of the games? Just like the story-based ones, like Horizon and, for the love of God, do not play The Last of Us out of order. Definitely play those two in order. I'm trying to think of I know those are fucking lame answers. I'm trying to think of what's a modern series on PlayStation, like Ratchet and Clank, for example, that goes back that far. But I mean, like some would say God of War, but I played the modern 2 God of Wars before I played God of War 1, and it worked out fine. I mean, Resident Evil, I guess, but even that, I don't think so. If you're going to play the Metal Gear Solids, I would probably say play them in order. I know it's a lame answer. I mostly just wanted to say The Last of Us. Like, I know there's only 2 of them, but for the love of God, don't play those out of order. Same with Horizon. Play those in order. And Infamous, actually. Infamous. Play Infamous. Infamous is a good game. But play those in order as well. Congrats. Welcome to the PlayStation team. They have good games. Huge S said, I just wanted to shout out Mark McCue, who all the way back in your Tears of the Kingdom review predicted that Xbox would start porting all their exclusives to other consoles. Will this get him into the Remember the Game Hall of Fame? No. And not because he doesn't deserve it, but because his paperwork to get into the Hall of Fame was on Molly's desk when we unfortunately lost Molly. And she didn't have a will. And so now, like, the courts are trying to decide who technically is in charge of who gets into the Hall of Fame. I don't know if anyone's ever getting into the Hall of Fame again at this point. It's pretty fucked up. Molly, do a will, all right? Don't leave it up to your kids to guess, or your owners if you're a dog. Do a will. And finally, before we move on, it's letter time. It's letter time. Double T said, hey, Adam, I know you're not a virtual reality person, and quite frankly, neither am I. However, I saw the trailer for the VR version of Civilization 7, and I became very intrigued. It's a VR use I never considered before. It looked more like an interactive tabletop board game. While I'm not going to get a headset for one game, it made me wonder what VR could look like if ports of real-time strategy or tactical strategy games were ported over. Would it open itself up to a new audience? I know you love yourself a tactical strategy game. If games like Into the Breach, Final Fantasy Tactics, Midnight Suns, Fire Emblem, or XCOM had this VR commander mode where you could be above the battlefield and immerse yourself that way, would that get you more inclined to try it? I know I'd suddenly be more interested. You know what, Double T? I am double intrigued by that question because, yes, I have been quite vocal. Listen, I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm not anti-VR. If you want to play games in VR and look like a fucking nerd with a giant Twinkie strapped to your face, go nuts. I'm not anti-VR. My 2 major qualms with VR is that, number one, I get motion sick very easily, and I'm blind in one eye, so I'm not 100% convinced that I would have a great time. And number 2, I'm not willing to roll the dice on a fucking $600+ price tag to see if that's the case. Like the PSVR 2, if the PSVR 2 was $300 or under, there's a chance that I would say, fuck it. If anything, I could do a review. I'll write it off. Let's give this thing a shot. I'm not paying more for a PSVR 2 than I paid for a fucking PS5 just to find out that it makes me sick to my stomach and it all doesn't work that well because of my stupid eye. And admittedly, there haven't been a ton of games in VR that I'm all that interested in. I know people have said Resident Evil 7 in VR is fantastic. I'm sure it is, but I could barely get through Resident Evil 7 playing with a controller. VR, I'd shit my pants. That said, games like Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, XCOM, Into the Breach, those are, outside of platformers, those are some of my favorite games. Those tactical strategy games like that. I don't know if I could stomach a $600+ price tag to play a virtual board game. But again, if the price was more reasonable, that would get my attention. That is as close as I've been to being interested in VR since it came out right there. What you just said. That does sound kind of neat. Especially, dude, imagine if the rumored Final Fantasy Tactics was in VR. It was like that episode of Simpsons where all the kids have the VR and Lisa like goes back to that old, I remember what it was, that old battle, and he's like, come along, Lisa, you'll slay who I slay, eat who I eat, or whatever the fuck. Like, that kind of shit would be kind of fun. Oh, man, and that one boss fight at fucking halfway through Final Fantasy Tactics where you go one-on-one with that guy. I can't remember his name, but if you've played Final Fantasy Tactics, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That motherfucker. And to be able to be in VR and tell him what a piece of shit he is while he's ruining my fucking save would be magnificent. Fuck, I hate that guy. Yes, that is as interested as I've been in VR since it's come out. What you just said. That intrigues me a little bit. Especially if you could like go down on the field of battle and talk to your guys or whatever and then go up into the sky to guide them. That'd be... Now you're cooking. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for all the submissions. We got to keep this ball rolling as always. So let's switch things up and get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our Patreons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. As always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one, and I'll tell you what it is in just a minute. This week we're talking Darkwing Duck, so I went with 3 Capcom Disney games, NES games. 3 Capcom Disney NES games. Mickey Mousecapade, Little Mermaid, and Tailspin. And 38% of you said you'd play Mickey, remake Tailspin, and erase Little Mermaid. So let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer was. I was shocked by the number of people that wrote in saying they would play The Little Mermaid when the votes didn't reflect that. Let's go through a couple of these here. Glockin2 said, I'm going to play The Little Mermaid, I'm going to remake Tailspin, and I'm erasing Mickey Mousecapade because it's the option my niece picked, and the princess's orders are absolute. That is as sound of logic as we get at Play One, Remake One, Erase One, when you guys let the kids pick. That's how it's done. Lee Carvalho's Putting Challenge said, playing the only one I can remember, which is Mickey Mousecapade. Plus, it's got awesome box art. Remake Tailspin. It was a good show, so it passes on that. Get rid of The Little Mermaid, based solely on the movie and the fact that it's in water, presumably. It is in water, but as much as I hate swimming levels, the swimming levels in The Little Mermaid aren't bad at all. I haven't played that game in longer than I haven't watched DuckTales, but I liked The Little Mermaid. It was just too easy. Neil McKinnon said, play The Little Mermaid. Apparently it can be beaten in like 20 minutes. Yeah, see? But I've always wanted to play it since looking at it in my old Nintendo Tips and Tricks books. That's why I rented it. And then I beat it the night I brought it home. It's fucked up. Remake Mickey because it wasn't that good, but it could be made into an excellent platformer. And erase Tailspin because it's also not very good. The license doesn't have as much pull. It doesn't have as much potential to be made great. And there's a million fantastic horizontal shooters already better. You just fucking buried Tailspin, Neil. Buried Tailspin. I've never watched Tailspin. I remember seeing the commercials for it as a kid, and I was like, not for me. I've never watched Tailspin before. Michael Patrick said, I will play Tailspin because I loved the show as a kid and it's a decent game. I'm erasing Mickey because I've never played it, and I'm remaking The Little Mermaid as an Echo the Dolphin clone because fuck everybody. So, man, you got the fucking Echo the Dolphin. That fucking dolphin. That dolphin. I hate that dolphin so fucking much. Double Secret Probation. Fuck, I hate that dolphin. And Vic to the Face said, play Little Mermaid because I didn't even know it existed. Remake Mickey Mousecapade because I also haven't heard of it and Mickey could use some love. And then erase Tailspin because I have played it and because Tales of Vesperia and Tales of Arise are much better games in the Tales franchise. That's a great fucking comment. Tailspin, the prequel to Tales of Vesperia and Tales of Arise. Well fucking done. I'm going with only 8% of you this week. 8% voted the right way, as did Doug Dorn, who said, I'm going to play Tailspin because I loved that cartoon as a kid. I'm going to remake The Little Mermaid because she isn't Mickey. And then I'm erasing Mickey. I don't care how the game is. He has enough of them. Agreed. I fucking hate Mickey. I fucking hate Mickey Mouse. I'm going to play Tailspin because I know nothing of that game or that franchise other than seeing the commercials and not watching them. So I'm gonna introduce myself to Tailspin by playing it. I'm gonna remake The Little Mermaid because I loved that movie and I liked the game, but it was too easy and I beat it in like 2 hours. So I'm just gonna make it into something longer and better. I love that. I haven't seen that movie forever. I should watch that movie. Under the Sea. And then I'm gonna erase Mickey Mousecapade because I don't care for any Mickey Mouse that's not the South Park version. Who's the only good version of Mickey Mouse. I hate that guy. Thank you, everyone that played along as always. What have I been playing? It's almost the exact same games as I was playing the last time I did one of these. I'm still... Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl is fantastic, but it fucking never ends. I was so sure I'd have it done in time to play Avowed this week. And I looked up a walkthrough yesterday just to see how close I was to the end of Stalker 2. And it was like, buddy, you barely scratched the surface. And I was like, I've explored this whole fucking map. I've got my sensor. I've killed half the fucking characters in the game. Let's go. But I'm still not done it. So I'm still playing Stalker 2. Still playing Wild Arms. Really, really liking it. Still playing XCOM 2. Really, really liking it. And then out of nowhere this weekend, I decided to fire up Mega Man 7. And I'm going to let you all in on a little bit of a peek past the curtain here. I wanted to cover Wild Arms on RTG next week. I don't think I'm going to have it done. I'm really enjoying it, and I don't want to rush through it now just to be able to review it next week. I haven't enjoyed an RPG this much since Sea of Stars. So let me cook. I'm going to take my time with Wild Arms. We'll probably cover it in early March. And I think next week we're going to talk about the underrated Mega Man 7 for the Super Nintendo. And that'll buy me enough time to get through hopefully Wild Arms and XCOM 2 in March. That's what I'm aiming for. And then tonight, Tuesday night, I'm actually playing Avowed. Mark and I were supposed to record Purple Monkey Dishwasher, and we bumped that shit to Friday so that I could spend the night with Avowed and see if it's yay or nay. Because it's getting a lot of nay online, but a lot of people haven't fucking played it yet. I'll fucking make my own decisions on whether or not it's a yay or nay. I'm looking forward to Avowed. So, all right. Let's pause here. I need a drink of water. We'll let the sponsors in. They will do their thing. And when we get back, it's all about Darkwing Duck. Okay, we will get dangerous right after this. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have two goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention, but when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, let's talk Darkwing Duck. As always, I like to let you nerds sound off on the game we're covering before my guest and I hog the microphone, and we had no shortage of comments this week. So let's see what some of you had to say. Brian Ransom said, "I played this on the Saturday afternoon bundle and had a blast. Brought me back to my childhood, from the music to the characters. It reminded me of how great cartoons were back in the day." I agree with that. I know kids today are going to say, like, when they're old, they'll be like, "Oh, Coco Melon and fucking Paw Patrol and Peppa Pig and Bluey the dog or whatever the fuck those were the best cartoons. But I look back and I'm like, man, the real Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, Chip and Dale. I was like, those were the fucking best cartoons. And I'm sure old people are like, the Flintstones and the Jetsons are like, those are the best cartoons. And my grandpa's like, oh, I watched fucking black and white Mickey Mouse steer a boat and nothing happened, and that was the best fucking cartoon. Every generation, but we did have the best cartoons. I agree. Jizz Rocket said, I played the shit out of this game as a young whippersnapper. I actually still have it. Where? Who knows? But I have it somewhere, and I will find it and play it again. I read that because I'm envious of those of you that still have your childhood games. If you still have your childhood game collection, unless you need to sell it to buy food, keep that shit. Because once you sell it, you can't get it back. I know. Nick Squires said, the only thing I know about Darkwing Duck is the old Flyers goalie, Ilya Brizgalov, had him on his mask. Is this a Darkwing Duck? Yeah, he's a cool guy. I read that because shout out to the Briz, buddy. Ilya Brizgalov. I haven't heard that name in a while. That guy was fucking crazy. I did have a sweet mask. I agree. Man, I'm sorry, Philadelphia fans. Any of you Flyers fans, Philly is where goalies go to die. How many fucking good, it's just, I like the Flyers, but that's where goalies go to die. Or potentially go to jail with Carter Hart, but we won't go down that road. Game Genie US said, okay, so instantly I'm thrown to arguably the best theme song to any cartoon ever created. The game itself was fun enough. Capcom and Disney had a good partnership back then in the day. Platforming was king on the NES to go along with their other greats like DuckTales and Rescue Rangers. Truthfully, I feel like this game follows suit. I am the terror that platforms in the night. I am the masked duck that flaps and brings you fright. I am Darkwing Duck. It is the best theme song. I agree. Toking Tony said, I found 2 secret areas, one on the second level and another on the third that take you to a bonus level. They have to shoot falling objects and collect points in health. Buddy, I think we talked about this. I thought I went pretty thoroughly through this game. I did not find a single secret area. If there's secret areas in this, that's fucked. Because I tried without looking up any kind of, I did not find a single thing. Fucking horse shit. And John Truckosaurus said, yes, thank you for finally covering this, Adam. I was a huge fan of the show when I was a kid, so there was a certain magic to firing this game up. It looks gorgeous. The music is awesome. I love how it basically plays like a Disney Mega Man game. It is tough to beat, but I was able to conquer it eventually with practice. I actually bought a physical copy of this game recently. Super happy to add it to my NES collection. This game will always be pure comfort food nostalgia for me. That's something we talk about. I'm on the fence on if I want to get a physical copy, because I don't know if I can swallow the price. But let's talk about it. Let's talk Darkwing Duck. I'm going to, you know what? No, I'll just cue up the music. We already played the theme song. So the level music is good, but it does get a little bit repetitive. So I'll cue up some level music here. And when it stops, Bradley McCue and I are going to take another look back at Darkwing Duck, which originally released in North America on the NES on June 5th, 1992. 33 years ago. Fuck, we're old. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, joining me on this Saturday morning. Does that not seem fitting that we're talking about Darkwing Duck on a Saturday morning? That actually works. Although I actually used to watch it. Okay, it's Bradley McCue. This is a horrible fucking intro. Bradley, did you watch Darkwing Duck growing up?
I will be honest with you. I'm sure I watched an episode. I'm sure I did, but I wouldn't be able to pull any information on it.
Okay, I watched it religiously as a child, but it wasn't on Saturday mornings. It was one of those weekday morning, it was that and Goof Troop and those types of shows.
And DuckTales. I remember DuckTales being on around the same time as this show.
Yeah, but I will say, dude, replaying this, I recognized some of the villains, but not. I'm shocked. Compared to something like DuckTales or Goof Troop, I don't remember. I remember you have Darkwing Duck. I remember Launchpad being his sidekick or something for some reason. I don't remember any.
Launchpad was also in DuckTales, right? Or am I nuts?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
He was. Yeah.
That was the through line.
Yeah. So I didn't remember anything from this either. So I'm going to tell y'all right now, if you're I fucking love Darkwing Duck and I know all about all the villains and everything and I want to, that's not what this is going to be because I don't remember. I can describe them in I remember the mole with the fucking plug on his head, but I don't remember any of their names or anything like that. So
yeah, I will be getting many of these names incorrect, and I can't wait to hear people comment about it.
Oh, buddy, it's going to be ugly. Before we get into talking Darkwing Duck, just quickly, I have to. I saw on your social media yesterday that you just finished. You always post when you finish video games, and you posted that you finished Mario Was Missing, and I hate to dig this fucking relic of Remember the Game lore up because nary a month goes by that someone doesn't tag me in something related to either Echo the Dolphin or Mario Was Missing. But I have to just ask you, like, did you beat it because it was just there and you were like, this is something to do? Or do you genuinely, and no judgment, do you genuinely enjoy that game?
Okay, so I sat down in one sitting and played all of Mario is Missing yesterday. Uh, and first of all, yes, I do genuinely enjoy that game. Yes, I do think that game is fun. It is certainly nostalgia. I genuinely learn. It's educational. It's educational. I genuinely am learning stuff. Like I didn't like. I'll be honest. I didn't know the Coliseum could fit 50,000 people till yesterday when I was playing Mario's Missing. That's an insane amount. Um, but I also played it because I figured I can't be so staunchly for and pro this game and defend it to the death and not revisit here and there just to confirm it is actually as good as I remember it is. The music is obviously the best part. The game itself is actually fun. I think the beef on this game is out of control, in my opinion.
Oh, buddy. You fool.
I like how you had like condolences. You're like,
Ooh.
oh, buddy, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Listen, I like you, brothers McCue. There's a reason you're frequent guests of this show, but I do genuinely believe you're both exponentially smarter than I am. Like, there's no question about that. You're more cultured than me, but
I know
just
something
like
you don't. Yeah.
that game. I have like PTSD from my childhood of getting that game for Christmas and being so excited that I got a new Mario game to play, only to pop it in and realize what in the fuck. So it's just when I saw you post it, I was like, fucking Bradley, fuck
This
you,
rat
fucking,
bastard.
you fucking. Anyways, I don't fuck at that game. Let's talk Darkwing Duck, which like substantially. I'll ask you this because everyone knows. Is this a better game than Mario is Missing?
Boy. Whew, I wasn't expecting a heavy
on my
hitter
own
like
range
that.
here. Jesus Christ. Are you fucking kidding me?
I didn't
Mario's
think
Missing
you
doesn't get, oh my god, it doesn't get go well. All you do is go
I
down.
have to think about it. I have to think about it for a second.
Forget I asked.
It's hard because it's the best Mario educational game, which like doesn't say a lot compared to the worst Mega Man game. But like even the worst Mega Man game, is that better than the best educational Mario game? It's so hard to gauge.
It's okay. It's funny. Okay. Oh my fucking! I'm fucking rattled right now. Fuck me. It is 10 a.m. on the Saturday of a long weekend, and I'm fucking steamed up. This game, you and I were talking about this off air, and you were like, because I said I don't know how long episode this is going to be because it's really not the meatiest game we've ever covered, and you were like, yeah, there's like YouTube playthroughs that are like 15 minutes long, and then you were like, mine wasn't like that, and I wanted to bring that up on the show because one of the things I do whenever a game is going to be covered on RTG and I replay it is I go to howlongtobeat.com, great website.
I do that with every game I play.
Yes, right, and it gives you just a ballpark idea how much time you're going to be sinking into this game. And like, yeah, Darkwing Duck is not a long game, but one of the things I've learned over the years of doing this show is that some of those times are skewed by people that know the game and know how to play it. As someone that has never played Darkwing Duck until getting ready for this episode, it probably still only took me a couple hours to beat it, but this was not a 15-minute like.
No,
sure. If you know where all the enemies are and you know the patterns and you like, sure, you could beat it in 15 minutes. But when you die as many times as I fucking did, this is a couple hour game. This game is fucking hard, man. Holy fuck.
It is. Like, yeah. Like when I compared it to Mega Man earlier because boy, it's obviously just a recycled Mega Man game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it does have that Mega Man difficulty. I wouldn't say it's the hardest Mega Man game I've ever played.
No.
But it certainly has quite a bite to it, and the repercussions for dying are brutal. Like having 5 lives, I feel, is not enough to get through some of the levels. The first 3 I didn't really struggle with. The second 3 I had were a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, like, I'll agree with you that it's not like this is. I will say it right now because a lot of people when they suggested this game were like, it's like Mega Man kind of, and it is kind of like Mega Man. It is not nearly as tough as a couple. Like Mega Man 3 is a much harder game than this. Like there are
Agreed.
harder games than this. But I will say like compare it less to Mega Man because it's from Capcom, so obviously it's gonna have the compare it less to Mega Man and compare it more to some of the other Disney games Capcom made for the NES with the purple box, the Little Mermaid, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I think this game is a pretty substantial step up in difficulty from games like that.
Agreed.
DuckTales, I found
Even like
DuckTales a little tough.
Aladdin. Yeah,
I never played the NES Aladdin. I can't speak to that one.
it's
But
good. Capcom made it. It's good.
just considering that it's obviously ported toward children and stuff, I'm a little shocked that they ratcheted the difficulty up. But at the same time, and how many fucking NES games have we said this about over the years? If it wasn't difficult, you would beat it in 20 minutes.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. This game is meant to be. I think we've said this before, but this is a blockbuster special. They
Mhm.
want you to rent this game over and over again.
Yeah, and as a kid, I probably would have because
Mhm.
it really is fun. One of the little issues that I had, it's a catch-22. I love that it has infinite continues. I think every game from this era should have infinite continues. Like the only reason I could beat Castlevania on the NES is because it has infinite continues.
I agree.
Like
I think infinite continues are a necessity for games like this.
yeah, and then it's like, hey, if you until you want to turn it off and give up, keep trying. You know what I mean? Like that's fine. I have no problem with that. And this is one of those ones that doesn't have a password system, obviously not a save system. It really doesn't need one. Like I guess if I had played this as a kid and I had put an hour into it and got through the first 3 levels and then got to the second 3 and I was getting rocked and then mom was like, "Turn it off and go outside." And I did, and I have to come back and beat those first 3 levels again. I guess a password would be nice. But one thing I also found was that like the levels are good and the combat and stuff is good, but I found them kind of empty. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't
bare bones. I agree.
yeah. And so like I found them very easy to memorize the levels. And then it just became knowing what's coming next. And every enemy in the game has a tell before they do their attack. So once you
Mhm.
know what enemy is coming and what their little signal is before they attack, then it just becomes a matter of practice and memorization. And then it's not that difficult.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Because I Googled this and I couldn't find a good answer.
Yeah, yeah.
You know those ducks that kind of like are really good at like squishing down and dodging your shot?
Yes.
How the hell do you beat them? I would just shoot them until I hit them twice randomly, but they would dodge so many of my shots. I had no idea what was making the ones that connected connect.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. I don't know. One thing I didn't do as often in this game as I probably should have was use the gas weapons, like his special
Yeah,
weapons.
yeah, me neither. I almost always forgot I had them.
Me too. And the problem with them, so if you've never played it, it's like basically Darkwing is running around and he's got his like his
Gun?
gas gun that he can
Gun, I
shoot.
guess?
Yeah, it's a gas gun. It shoots like gas out. But then you can pick up like power up weapons. There's one where you shoot lightning bolts at like 45-degree angles above and below you. There's
Which I
one.
found useless.
Me too. Other than against a couple of bosses where they were going up and down from platforms,
Yeah.
and I'd sit down and hammer them. But one of the problems with the special weapons in this game is that you can only carry one at a time. Like it's not like, and that's where the Mega Man thing. Like I definitely see the Mega Man DNA in this, but it would have been nice if you could like pause and then like switch your gun from the lightning to say the heavy gas where it just kind of lobs in front of you and sends the 2 like beams out on either side of you. Like all you can do is carry one at a time. And I don't know about you, every time I got a chance to pick up the arrow gas, which is the third one, which shoots platforms onto the walls that you can climb up, I always carried that because I found it useful to get to like extra lives and health and stuff. And I didn't find myself using the other weapons to fight enemies very often. So I would rather have the utility of the platform gas.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think I ever got the platform one. That sounds like it would have been incredibly useful.
It's really, yeah. So like it's I don't even know if you could hurt enemies with it. I never even tried to shoot an enemy with it, but you could shoot like it's literally just an arrow with a platform stuck to it, or like a plunger with like a platform on it. And if it hits a wall, it sticks, and you can jump on the platform and jump up. And it's
Oh,
like really,
I didn't encounter
hella
that one
handy.
time.
Yeah, but those like that's. I guess that is a criticism I have of it. Is that sure? It's nice that you put these extra specialty weapons in, but it all comes down to like they're not random, like they are available at different aspects of the level. You can pick one up, but you can only carry one at a time. And like I think they would have been exponentially more useful. I don't know why I keep using the word exponentially today, but I don't know, I hit my head or something. But like they'd be so much more useful if you could just pause the game and choose the one you want.
Yes, I completely agree. The one that I found the most useful, specifically in bosses, was the one where you kind of throw a cloud onto the ground and then it kind of spreads out and hits anything that's on that plane.
Yeah, the heavy gas or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that one I found actually really useful, especially the one where I think it was like a jester or a clown who kind of jumps between the platforms and he's got his crony up top. He's throwing banana peels on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found that one was the most useful. God, the fans of this show are gonna crucify me. They're gonna.
I know.
Hate this.
I'll warn everyone in the infamous intro. I'm actually ashamed because I really loved the show as a kid, and I do not remember any of these villains, any of
Yeah.
them. Like if you were to put a gun to my head right now and say like, "Hey, who is Darkwing Duck's like arch rival?" I'm like, I don't remember.
I feel like it's Willy something.
Yeah, I don't remember. Like I think it's because they had Fowl, who was like the main villains. And I
Yeah,
think, but I don't. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna warn everyone in the intro. Fuck it, we're just going through it.
we're
So
reviewing the game, not the TV show, guys.
exactly.
Settle down.
Yeah. So like the weapons are fine. I just wish that you could use them a little bit more. One thing that I always forgot that I had that actually was hella useful when I did remember was if you push up, Darkwing pulls his cape in front of him and it works like a shield. And I always forgot I had it, but when I didn't forget, I was like, fuck, this is, especially when you were going up against like those green ducks that would hide behind their shield and then reach out and shoot at you.
Yeah,
That was so handy.
Boy, I'm learning about this game today. I did not know that you could do that until this very second.
Yeah. It's really handy. Like you push up and it blocks most projectiles. Like he just pulls his cape in front of him. It is really handy. The one issue with it is that a lot of the enemies in this game I feel are designed to damage you by just running into you, and the cape doesn't protect you from those.
Yeah, and that's a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, it really is.
You mentioned the turtle guys earlier, and I gotta say that's the worst enemy in the game, I think. And the reason I hate that enemy so much is that there is one part in one of the levels where one of those turtles is just kind of like camping at the opening of a really thin corridor, and you can't get past him. And also, when he throws his shield or throws his shell, you can't dodge it either because the corridor ceiling is too low. It's my least favorite part of the whole game.
I didn't like those guys either, but the most annoying enemy to me by a mile was in the jungle. It was those fucking flowers.
Oh yeah, that would like
flowers.
throw the pink
they were
sacks
like
at you.
Yeah, there's these fucking there's a jungle level, and we'll get to the levels in a minute because the levels are actually pretty cool. But there's this fucking jungle level where there's these fucking pink flowers that are like on long vines wrapped around trees, and when you approach them, they open to like big piranha plant looking things up there, and then as soon as you shoot them once, they like shoot like their fucking heads at you or something, and they can be incredibly difficult to dodge. And the problem is and that's the classic NES gaming. If you walk backwards to try to avoid getting hit and they leave the screen, then once in a while they disappear, but most of the time they just come back with full health again. And now you have to fucking deal with them all over again.
The respawning in this game had me absolutely livid.
It's merciless. It's just everybody. Oh my God. There's one part. I remember one part. I can't remember what level it was, but you have to you fight your way past the giant robots where you shoot them in the head, and then there's a mouse inside, and then you shoot the mouse.
Yeah, I actually love that enemy. I thought that was really cute.
Me too. I like that enemy, but there is one part where you drop off of a ledge into like a little pit, and then you have to hit a switch, jump up onto a platform that's coming out of the wall, and jump off it before the platform fully retracts. And if you mistime that jump, then you have to backtrack to get the switch to do it again. But when you backtrack, that fucking mouse in the robot body comes back, and you have like a split second to kill it, or else it falls down into this little narrow pit you're in. And then you have to take damage from it. And I like that enemy, and I'm fine with difficult NES games for sure. But there are a couple of moments where the respawning enemies can really fuck you if you go backwards. Going forwards, for the most part, they're designed for you to take them on. But going backwards, sometimes they're coming right at you, and you don't always even have a chance to respond. And the thing about this game is like you have 4 hits and then you're dead. You have a heart with 4 quadrants in it, and when they're all gone, you're gone. And when you take damage in this game, you go invisible for about a third of a second.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It is very unforgiving. So if you get trapped in like a narrow place with an
Or on
enemy,
spikes.
yeah, you will die in about 10 seconds. All 4 hearts will be gone and you'll be dead.
Yeah, you have about 2 seconds to get out of those spikes, or you're donezo.
Yeah, it's fucking vicious. And you know another thing that I died a lot on, and I don't know if this was just me or not.
What's that?
It's the I took me a long time to grasp where to land to grab a hold of a hook in the background. Because there's parts where you have to platform from hook to hook. No, I thought I had to hold up. Like I was jumping and holding up to like grab the hook, and then finally realized I don't have to. But some of those jumps are like, they're pretty precise. And so there's no ground under you. You're just jumping from hook to hook. And it looks cool. Like Darkwing Duck's hanging from the hook and then he's jumping and hanging from another hook. And I'm like, classic badass superhero entrance. That's all well and good. But some of these jumps are incredibly precise. And the hitbox or whatever you want to call it to make connection to have him grab that hook is insanely tiny. And once you know exactly where it is, it's okay. But it takes a long time to figure that out.
I found that there were more than a few what I would consider cheap deaths in this game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, like things like that where you're trying to grab onto something, but there's a pit below it, so if you don't hit it exactly, you're dead.
Yeah. So I still want to get into like the graphics, the music, the level variety. A couple of the boss fights were frustrating. I think we've covered the controls for the most part. Let's sneak the break. I don't know how long this episode is going to be because this game, like I'm telling you, if you're good at this game, since Bradley and I started talking, you're rolling the credits right now.
Yeah.
Like, so let's let a sponsor in here right now because I'm contractually obligated to get them in. And then when we get back, we'll talk about the rest of it. Because I don't want to, just before we get to the sponsor, let me just say, like, I really like this game. Like, I can't speak for you, Bradley, but like I am not dunking on this game. I think it's a lot of fun.
No, me neither. I also think it's a very well-made NES game that was clearly made at the end of the NES.
Agreed. It even felt a little. It felt rushed, not from a quality standpoint, but as we mentioned, like the levels do seem kind of empty and a little short. There's not a ton of like villain variety. It really like it. I don't know. I'm not trying to talk like a video game developer because I don't know how to make anything. I can't barely get like a recording on my computer to work. But it feels like it was a game that was made in like a weekend.
Yeah,
and then not like a bad game, but a game that was made in like I don't feel like it has the depth of say a Chip and Dale or a DuckTales.
It does feel like it was made on the bones of other Capcom games.
Yeah. That said, though, it's good. Okay, all right. Let me do the thing. My fucking sponsors are standing here being like, fucking read our goddamn ad. Let's let them in, and then when we come back, we'll talk about more of this. Okay, let's start with the levels. So obviously we've been comparing this game to Mega Man. One of the cool things about it is that it's got you can play the levels in any order. It does do that thing some Mega Man games do that irritates me, where it splits them into 2 sections. Like there's some Mega Man games where you have to fight 4 and then you fight the other 4, which I've never loved.
Yeah, I'd rather get like in this game, it didn't feel like there was any reason to split them up other than a slight difficulty change between the last 3 and the first 3.
Yeah, I agree. But it also didn't bother me because it's not like in Mega Man, the order you to complete the levels completely changes how difficult the game is because of the robot masters and their weapons and their weaknesses and stuff like that. In this one, it's not like you don't get anything from beating a level. So it comes down to just like, hey, play them in whatever order you want. It really doesn't matter. But I do still like that. Like when you start the game up, Launchpad's asking you where you want to go. And there's 3 different areas to pick from, and you can pick any of the 3, and each of them, there's a different villain from the game that's causing problems there, and you go and take other henchmen, fight the villain, move on to the next one. Once you beat 3, then it goes to 3 more, and as Bradley said, I also found there to be a difficulty spike from the first 3 to the second 3. But one thing I will say is that, I don't think the levels are particularly full of life and full of enemies and everything. They do all feel quite distinct. Like when you go to the bridge level, because they're like destroying the bridge, it genuinely does feel like you're on a bridge. When you go to the jungle, it genuinely does feel like you're in the jungle.
Yeah, I would say that like even like the sewers one, which I think is the one that makes me think of Mega Man the most because of the green background. It's very Mega Man 3.
Yeah.
But even in that one, like it's very clear where you are, which sounds like an insane thing to say as a positive, but like with these old NES games, you do gotta specify like
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which
yeah.
games actually look like you're in the places.
And like even they even play a little bit different. Like when you're in the jungle level, it is a majority of that level is just left to right. There's not a ton of pits you can fall into. You can hang off like
Mhm.
ropes or vines across the trees. That's fine. But then when you're in like the construction zone level, you spend most of the level climbing and grabbing like girders and jumping from one girder to another girder and stuff. And it's an NES game, right? They didn't exactly have a fucking 3 trillion gigabyte CPU RAM hard drive 4 by
It's
4
not
thing.
8K.
Exactly. So like they had to make do with what they had. And I was actually, while I was a little bit disappointed with the lack of enemy variety and the number of enemies in each level, I was surprised by how different each level felt, considering there's no variety and like there aren't any levels where you're riding like the motorcycle and it's an auto scroller. There's no
Yes, okay.
fucking like
I
nothing, no
wrote
variety.
I wrote that down because why do they keep showing me the motorcycle and then not letting me freaking drive it?
Yeah, I was a little shocked that they didn't sneak in. Like, even if it was like after you take out all the henchmen, then maybe a
Mhm.
level where you're on the bike before you go to the final boss, like something like that. So I was a little bit shocked there wasn't more level variety in that sense, but I was also happy with the fact that they did make each level play a little bit differently, considering all you have is a gun and the ability to grab a hold of something above you. Like, it's a very bare bones game from a gameplay perspective. The levels don't all just feel like color by number levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you
Yeah.
know what else is that I think all of the sprites in this game are really good. Particularly Darkwing Duck himself looks fantastic.
He looks
Looks
great.
you can like it's an 8-bit game and you can see the buttons on his jacket. Like it's very detailed.
Yeah.
Um and you
You
can tell what all of them are. Like you got the Terminator duck that's on later in the game. Like you look at that character and you're like, that's clearly like a parody of Terminator. And then you shoot him enough times and he turns into like the robot skeleton
Oh
Terminator.
yeah, yeah. And then he just starts going batshit running around.
Yeah.
I like that enemy a lot too, yeah.
Yeah, like
Um
it's very funny. Like it almost feels like they're parodying their own games with the Darkwing Duck IP. I like it.
yeah, I liked that a lot too. And I want to agree with you. Like the enemies look really cool. A lot of the sprites are pretty cool. Darkwing Duck in particular looks great. You mentioned it earlier. Like this is a 1992 game, so this was at the tail end of the NES's lifespan. And when
Mhm.
you compare this to something like, I want to see when Chip and Dale came out, because like I love Chip and Dale, like the NES game.
I've actually never played either of the rescue. There's two, right? Two
There are,
Rescue
yeah.
Rangers.
I
Yeah.
never played number 2, but number 1 is fucking awesome. I guess yeah, it came out 2 years before Darkwing Duck did. But you look at like Chip and Dale, and as great a game as it is, like Chip and Dale, the as playable characters, don't look nearly as detailed as Darkwing Duck does. It's the same
Totally.
as like when you look at Mario Brothers 1 versus Mario Brothers 3. Toward the end of the NES, they were starting to get pretty good at kind of giving this, almost adding like a third dimension to your playable character, where they're at like a
Yeah,
30-degree angle to the TV, if that makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. Like specifically with the Mario Brothers 3 example, like that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and Darkwing in this case, like I would have loved to have seen this game on the Super Nintendo, like just
Hmm.
to see what they could have done with the graphics. But from an NES perspective, I agree. I do think that some of the backgrounds in the levels are kind of cheaped out on, like they're just basic one color at some of the levels. But I also don't really have a problem with that if it means that the enemies and everything look good. And one thing I found was the NES. When a screen got too busy, it was notorious for having that slowdown and stuff. I didn't. Granted, I played the Saturday morning collection, but it ran really smooth.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems. I played the same version, but which might have been cleaned up a bit, but I didn't have it. I didn't see any slowdown anywhere.
Yeah, really smooth game. Also, while we're talking about the graphics, they go kind of hand in hand with the music, and as I expected it to be, because it's a Capcom NES game. The
Phenomenal.
only complaint I have with the music is that when you die, and you will fucking die a lot, uh, by the time I've died about the 10th time on a couple of these levels, then I found myself turning the music down a bit because it feels like it's only about a 30-second runtime and then it just replays. And
Yeah.
it's awesome the first like 10 times. And then I'm like, all right, fuck, okay. Now I need to concentrate a little bit. But the first couple of times you go into a level and the music starts up, it's really fucking good. It's I
Totally.
mean,
Yeah.
as is to be expected from fucking Capcom.
I was not disappointed by like how much I just found myself bopping. And I do feel like they were probably like NES recreations of songs from the show that I didn't recognize, but I still loved it and had a great time with it.
Even off the top, like I use the chiptune version of the Chip and Dale's theme all the time on my other shows. And hearing that like chiptune version of the Darkwing Duck theme, which I still think is one of the greatest cartoon theme songs in the history of cartoons. Hearing the chiptune version of it is fucking awesome. It like makes my heart melt a little bit. I love it so much. I fucking love Darkwing Duck. The levels themselves, the jungle was easily the one that gave me the most problems.
Yes,
Uh,
because of those pink flowers that threw the ball sacks at you.
yeah, those fucking flowers. Other than that, like, because when I showed on socials that I was gonna play this, a lot of people were like, "Dude, you're gonna get angry. Get ready to get angry." I'm like, I don't like I said, I've beaten all the old Mega Man games. I didn't find this as tough as the old Mega Man games.
No.
I found like for the levels themselves, it was a lot of just memorization. And once you know what enemy is coming and how they're gonna attack, even like in the jungle, for example, one of the enemies you'd run, I can't remember if it was like owls or if they were like hawks, but there were enemies that
Oh
would
yeah.
be they'd be like perched on one of the ropes you were on, but they wouldn't move until you got close enough. And so if you were a good shot, 2 shots would kill them, and then they would never even attack you.
Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of enemies like that. There's like one that I think about is I think he's a rhinoceros that stands on top of a cannon, but he just stands there. And if you duck, he can't hit you with the cannon. And so he's a really easy enemy to just kind of plow through.
Yeah, 100%. So I think a lot of where the difficulty of this game comes from is the fact that your health depletes so quickly because the invisibility after getting hit lasts for like the amount of time it takes for you to realize you got hit. Like it is
Yep.
so unforgiving. And so like when things go wrong, like when you start, if you let yourself get surrounded by a couple of enemies or you get trapped in a narrow spot with somebody, you'll be dead before you have a chance to come up with a strategy to get out. But with a little bit of practice and repetition, and you know where the enemies are not random. They're all exact spots. 90% of them are put in a position where if you know where they're coming, you can take them out before they ever have a chance to get their hands on you. I died more on some of the platforming and some of the, and specifically jumping from hook to hook or fucking girder to girder, like falling
Yeah,
was what was
that's where
killing
I
me.
got most of my deaths as well. Yeah, mostly falling. The enemies, with the exception of a few, I don't love the turtle. I don't love the dodge ducks. I don't love the dogs that throw the barrels at you, the little bulldogs that
Oh
throw the
yeah,
red
yeah.
barrels at you, because the barrels move in unpredictable patterns. But other than that, like I found most of the enemies pretty manageable.
Just the way you said, I hate the dogs that throw the barrels at you, and it made me think of like, or what, you release the dogs or the barrels or the dogs with barrels under their heads, and when they get mad, they throw barrels at you. Shout out to when it gets that reference. That is what it reminded me of. To me, where the difficulty really came from was the boss fights.
Yeah, I agree. Now
They're
I am going to
vicious.
be completely honest with you about something. I would put a save state at the beginning of every boss because I didn't want to mess around and get a game over.
Well, and I don't even fault you for that because the problem is like when you can get to a boss with 5 or 6. Because I did find the game fairly generous when it came to lives.
Yeah, they're
Like
kind
it,
of
like
all over the place.
they're all over and again, you can tell it's a Capcom game. Another thing where the Mega Man DNA comes in, you can have a run in Mega Man where you maybe drop 2 lives the whole game, but you could have a run in Mega Man where it feels like every third enemy's dropping an extra life.
Yeah.
And I would have runs in this game where like I like that the extra lives in this are like a Darkwing Duck doll, and it seemed like I was getting them over and over. I would get to some bosses with 8 or 9 lives in the bank, but they still like again because it's what it is that invisibility is so short. These bosses you can run through 5 lives. I guess like it's like sitting down at a slot machine and putting in like $20 and like 10 pulls later and it's gone and you're like that was 90 seconds. And some of these fucking bosses, you get to them with 5 or 6 lives, and you're like, "Let's fucking go." And then
I'm
90 seconds,
invincible.
yeah. And then it's like 90 seconds later, I'm at the continue screen, and I'm back at the beginning of the fucking level again. And I was like, "Holy Christ!" Because like that's one thing about this game is that when you game over, you have the option to either replay the level you were on or go back to the stage select. But there is no checkpoint in the middle of the level because they're not particularly long. There is no checkpoint in the middle of the level. There is no checkpoint where you go right to the boss. It is right back to the beginning of the level again.
Yeah, and
it was-
you had said that the levels aren't really long, and that's something I want to hit on is that like I really do not mind having to go back to the beginning of the level because these levels are really brief.
Yeah, they are. And make no mistake, I get this is an NES game from 92. We weren't in the era we are now where there's sometimes it saves while it's saving. Like there's not a checkpoint every fucking 3 seconds. I totally get that. And again, part of that was probably to extend the difficulty. But I will say that like when you're playing a game for the show like this and you just want to see the entire, like if I was trying to do a let's play of this and I wanted to show off the entire game, there would be no save stating. I want to beat the entire game. And I will tell you all right now, I did beat the game. I didn't beat it in one sitting. So I guess in that term, I did use save states to come back to the game. But I think now I could probably sit down and beat this game in about 30, 45 minutes if I had to, like I might even do a let's play of it because I did quite like the game. But going back
brief.
to
it's a good one for a let's play.
Absolutely. The going back to the beginning of the level and then having to fight your way through to get to the boss again. The only thing it really becomes a little bit frustrating with is the tediousness once you know the level inside and out. Like, dude, after 3 or 4 runs through a level, I could I was like, I don't even like, this is nothing but practice. I'm just hoping to pick up some extra lives on my way to the boss.
I could draw the entire level from memory.
Yeah, exactly. But the boss fights, they packed a punch because pretty much every boss in this game is a fight where they're on multiple platforms. And in Darkwing Duck has that classic game trope of if you push down and hit jump, then you fall through the ground, and then he hangs onto the ground until you push down again, and then he'll drop to the platform below him. And practically every boss in this game is designed to run at you and try to damage you. And so it becomes a lot of just dodging them and whatever attacks they're throwing while you're just mashing shoot and hitting them as much as you can. And again, it became a lot of just pattern recognition. But the frustrating part of the pattern recognition was that they would kill you. They would almost kill you faster than I could figure out the pattern, like figure out what their attacks were. So it would almost cost me like a complete run in 4 or 5 lives just to come up with a basic game plan of like, okay, when they do this, this is going to happen. And then I had to be ready. Like, it just feels like they kill you so fast. You don't have a lot of time in your first run. I would be willing to bet there's not a soul on this planet that beat a single one of these bosses in their very first attempt when they got
first
there.
Shot.
I could see it before you have to continue, but not on your very first life. There is no fucking way.
When like with the bosses, you said earlier that they like can really drain your health. And the best example I can think of that is that there's the dog that throws fish at you, and he'll throw fish from underneath you, which will hit you multiple times.
Yeah.
And you'll run out of that invisibility before the fish get past you, and you get hit by the fish multiple times. I hated that one.
Yeah, that was vicious.
I will say there's one boss in this game, like especially comparatively to the others. There was one boss in this game I thought was insanely easy. And boy, the fans of this show are going to hate me for describing this if it's wrong. But there's like the werewolf dog that throws boxes at you, who's just a cakewalk.
Yeah, he is, because like he has 2 attacks, and I think what made him so much easier than the other boss fights were that in practically every other boss fight, not only are you trying to dodge the boss and some of them are throwing things at you, but like there's something in the background trying to attack you as well. In him, there's not. It's just him jumping from one side of the screen to the other, throwing boxes at you. If there's one you're gonna beat on, I didn't beat him on my first try, but it only took me a couple. Like he was.
Yeah, I think maybe 2 or 3 for that one. Whereas the rest of these took many more.
Yeah. Aside from the final boss, which we'll get to, the one that gave me the most trouble was the again, I can't remember his fucking name. I'm trying to like look them all up, but I don't know any of their names. It's like there's like a little he's like a little guy with like a wrench, and there's 3 laser beams in this level shooting at you.
Yes, okay.
And they take 4 shots to destroy them. They're a pretty small hitbox, but if you shoot one of these things with 4 shots, then the enemy totally forgets about you, and he makes his only priority running to that laser to fix it. And so what I would do is right out of the gate, I would destroy 2 of the lasers, and then he would jump up and go running from one laser to the other trying to fix it. And while he was doing that, I was just hammering shoot. But while you're doing that, those lasers that are running are shooting at you. And every time he fixes one, he whips like a wrench at you super quick while he runs to the next one. And that guy, I don't know about you, but outside of the final boss, he was the one that gave me the most fucking trouble.
100%. 100%.
Right?
This
That
is the
little
hardest
fuck.
boss in the game.
That
Completely
little
agree.
fucker. And like, I even knew my strategy. There's 2 lasers above and then 1 below. He's fixing the 1 below as soon as you come in. And so what I would do is hit the 2 lasers up top with 3 shots each. So they were each 1 shot away from being destroyed. Then I would destroy 1. And then he would come up and run over to fix it. And while he's over there fixing it, I would just blast him. And then as soon as he got it running, I would turn around and shoot the other one. So it would be destroyed. So he'd run over there to get that one. And then I would quickly hit the one he just fixed 3 times, turn and like always have them ready to be 1 shot away. What would kill me was that the hitbox to take those lasers out was so precise that if I missed a few shots and he got out in front of me, I was fucked.
Yeah, totally. What I ended up doing on that boss is I had the like kind of the bow and arrow type weapon, and I would just I didn't even I stopped messing around with the
laser
actually thing? Yeah, exactly. Sorry. I was stopped messing around trying to mess up the laser things and just would go right to where he was and just shoot him. And then if he came toward me, I would just jump up to the next level. Like, it wasn't a very good strategy, but I did eventually get there. I would say probably 30 tries on that one. I would say, if I was a betting man.
Yeah, he was easily the one that gave me the most trouble. The guy in the jungle, I found to be a little bit of a bitch too, just because he doesn't even really try to attack you. He just runs away as soon as you're on the same level as him. But the background, the trees kept like sprouting plants that would shoot projectiles at you. And so like you couldn't get on the same level of him and just mash shoot, because as soon as you were face to face with him, he would run to another level. So you could kind of only get 1 or 2 shots in. And then you had to dodge what the background was throwing at you. That was the guy where I found the lightning gas really useful, because I didn't have to be on the same level as him to shoot him. I just had to be in the vicinity, and then I could zap the fucker.
I think for almost all the bosses, I used the one where you hit the ground and then it hits everything on that level. Almost every boss, I used that one.
They were tough. And then, buddy, then you get to the final boss. Fucking Steelbeak, I think is what his name was. That like evil rooster guy.
Yeah, and complete nonsense.
I'm ashamed to admit, I had to look up, like when you drop in to fight him, he's sitting in like the top right corner of the screen in like a little glass chamber, and there's clearly a wall in front of him with these 2 blinking lights. So I'm assuming I need to somehow destroy this wall to get at him.
You can't get up there because he's spawning enemies infinitely.
There's 3 hooks. There's 2 that are level with that wall he's behind, and then 1 lower down. So you would jump up to the one that was lower down and then use it to get up level with his wall to shoot him. But he is constantly spawning these 2 flying enemies. And they shoot projectiles at you, but the projectiles aren't the problem. The problem is that they move faster than Darkwing. Like, they're up your fucking ass.
And they will, as soon as they touch you.
Yes. And once they, like, that, I died there so many fucking times, because once they touch you once, they're just, it's almost like it's a little bit cheap. It's almost like they're fucking stuck on top of you, and they just drain your health and kill you. And the second you kill them, it's spawning more up top again. And I could not, oh my God. And I could not figure out. I'm like, so am I supposed to just, because when I would shoot the wall in front of him, it didn't seem to do anything. And so I was like, do you want me to just keep shooting these little enemies until he runs out of steam? Or do you want me to somehow shoot this wall? And I finally looked it up, and it was like, you have to get up there and shoot the wall. And so I don't know about you, but like when I finally beat him, all it was I managed to get up onto one of the 2 high hooks and then kill the spawning enemies as quickly as they were coming into the screen, and just mashing. If you can get up there to the one that's further away from him, to where the enemies that he's spawning are dropping down in front of you, but the wall is behind them and also in front of you, then you can kind of just mash shoot and you'll get them. But
this
getting
is exactly
into position,
what I end up doing.
Right. But to get into position to mash shoot was fucking brutal, because you have to get up there so fast.
But once you're up there, you're pretty safe.
Yeah.
Once you're up there, you're pretty safe for the first half of the fight, at least. The second half of the fight was a joke, like super easy.
Was that not? Yeah, it was wild. So like once you finally destroy the wall this guy is behind, then he drops down from this chute that he was in, and then he just kind of runs back and forth, and he's really not much of a threat at all. And you just shoot him, 20 times and kill him. And he spawns a big health item up in his office. If you need to go get it, you can go get it. But
And
yeah,
then he throws tables at you for some reason.
yes, which we all have tables to throw at people. That's like, I think they teach that at like the yellow belt level of karate is the table throwing.
Gosh, man.
But
why tables?
I was just shocked by like, so this game, the bosses were, for my money, easily the hardest part of this game. And then the first stage of the final boss is just vicious. Again, until you get good at getting up to that hook. Once you're up on that hook, it's a cakewalk, but
Absolutely.
it takes some time to get up to that hook. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, if that's what the first stage of this guy was, this is going to be a nightmare. I'm not even kidding. I'm 90% sure I beat him on like my first that or second attempt.
I think for me it was the first. Yeah, I think for me it was the first attempt on the second half. I was like, oh, is that it?
I know. And then I kept waiting for another, like one more boss fight or one more form or something. But it was just, it almost felt, and it's not the only game that's ever done this. I sometimes I feel like when you get a really easy final boss fight, it's a game being like, you know what, you made it this far, catch your breath. Here you go.
Yeah, enjoy your victory.
Yeah, I was shocked at how easy it was, and then I beat it, and I'm waiting and waiting for the, we've all been there where you think you've beaten the game, and then there's another form, or they come back from the dead, or something.
I was expecting Super Shredder to come out.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the hammer to drop, and then it just went to the end credits where you're riding the fucking bike down the road, and I was like, oh, that okay. Not complaining though, because I hate
at the end.
That's fucking dope. Yeah, at the very end, you just get this great scene of Darkwing riding his bike down the street or whatever the fuck, the moon in the background. And then right as it like the credits end and it says like the end of the game, he just hits a rock and goes flying through the air. And it literally ends with him like upside down, like classic buffoon style flying through the air with the end, which I thought was a fantastic end game screen.
Absolutely. A perfect homage to the source material.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was I was impressed. I'm not trying to poo-poo on it. I do think there was some meat left on the bone. I think the levels could have been a little bit deeper, a little bit longer, or maybe a little bit more level variety or a little bit more weapon variety. Like I really liked it. You're going to hear the score here in a minute, but I don't think it's as good as any of the 6 Mega Man games. Like, because people are always comparing them to Mega Man. I don't think it's as good as like Chip and Dale or DuckTales. Still a very competent game, but it really felt like one that it felt very rushed.
Mm-hmm. I would sooner go back to the 2 DuckTales games before I really enjoyed this. I highly doubt I'll ever play it again.
Same. I was really having fun playing it. I've been, as a lot of you know, slowly buying up classic, like any actual NES cartridges. I'm building a small collection. I don't want to own every NES game. I just want to own all my favorites. Mm-hmm. And I really liked this one, and I was considering scooping a copy, but it's a like $90 game, and I was like, oof. I don't like because it's probably one of the rarer ones, and I was like, I don't think I can justify what it's going for now, because I don't see myself firing this one up to like. I still go back and play Chip and Dale once every year or two because I love that game. Same with DuckTales. I don't know if I've ever actually beaten DuckTales. I really like that game. This one, I was like, that was fine for a one-time playthrough. I don't see myself constantly going back to this one.
$90 for this game is like $1 a minute.
Yeah. Which, like, listen, I get that's what a lot of these old classic games were. But it's just like there's the level. I love the concept of being able to choose the order you want to play the levels, but it seems very inconsequential. There's no payoff to going in the right order or anything like that. Mm-hmm. There's not multiple strategies. I guess if you want to go into a boss fight with one form of the gas weapon versus another form, you can, but it really feels like once you've memorized it, it's over and you can beat it and that's it.
It felt like this is a game that should have more secrets than it has too. Like there should be more secret rooms and stuff that you can find, but it just, that sort of stuff was just kind of missing.
Yeah. I was reading that they were going to make a second one in it, and then it never came to fruition. I really would have liked to have seen what they could have done with another one, or like a Super Nintendo.
I think I would have played it. I certainly would have played more of this.
Me too. Absolutely, I would have. Yeah. But it was good. It was fine. For all of you that were like, this is one that has been brought up pretty regularly for years in the hallways here at Remember the Game Industries, of people being like, really should do a Darkwing Duck episode. Now that I've played it, I get it. Very good. I don't see it cracking like my top 20 NES games, but listen, I adore the NES. It's royalty in my eyes. There's a lot of shitty games on the NES, and this is not one of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would say, fuck, I don't know how many games there are in the NES library. It's like 700 or 800 or something. I would say 150 of them I would be classified as like good or better. Maybe 200.
Agreed.
Like there's a lot of garbage. And this definitely makes, like, this is definitely on the good side of the fence. I just wish there was a little more. That's all.
I agree.
It's, like when you're eating a bowl of chicken wings, there's always like a couple of runts. This is one of the runty ones. It's a good chicken wing, but just not a lot of meat on the bone, as they say.
Exactly.
Are we ready? Are we ready to score this thing?
Let's score this bad boy. What's
I need a
Darkwing. I know that Darkwing Duck had 91 episodes.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Let's go with that. I like it. All right. So then I was gonna say dealer's choice to tell you to score it first. That makes no fucking sense. Just horrible. Go ahead. Out of 91, how many wings would you give Darkwing Duck?
Out of 91 wings, I would give Darkwing Duck probably, you know what? I'm going to give it a healthy 70. I think 70 out of 91 is perfect. It's not a bad game. It's just kind of somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'll go 75. It'd be like if I was scoring it out of 10, it'd be like a 7.5. It does nothing wrong, really. It just, I wish it did more.
It gets bonus points for having rats that shoot basketballs, though.
Yeah, I know. Man, I love these old video games that would come out with these fucking random enemies. And it's just like there's just like I just imagine the developers like coming up with the ideas for these villains and these enemies, and they like look out the window and there were these like kids across the street playing like pickup basketball, and they were like, hey, what about
wait a minute?
What about an animal that just throws basketballs at you? Like, I love it. Let's go. Best enemy in the game. I am gonna just quickly revisit that the rat or the mouse in the giant robot suit. It looks like this
Absolutely
like giant intimidating knight, and then you knock the helmet off, and it's just like a little mouse. That was awesome. Good game. Good. Thanks for doing this, buddy. I know you're not the busiest Twitch streamer in the history of the internet, but if people want to see where you are, where could they do so?
Absolutely. If you want to check out what I'm doing, best place is Instagram. I'm at the Gaming Odyssey on Instagram, and I Twitch stream once every 5 months or so. So if you want to catch the rare occasion that happens, you can go to twitch.tv/videogameodyssey.
I like it. Check it out. Links in the description. Bradley, always a pleasure, my man. Thank you for taking an hour out of your long weekend to talk about an old video game with me.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime, buddy. We'll do it again soon.
Heck yeah.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode. Bradley, thank you so much for giving me a call and talking Darkwing Duck. And every single one of you nerds listening to this, whether this was your first Remember the Game or your 324th or any other random number, appreciate you. I know there's a lot of us. There's a lot of retro gaming shows out there these days. And the fact that we still managed to get anybody to listen to this thing is either a testament to your support. How am I going to say this? In my head, like sometimes my mouth speaks before my brain figures out what it's going to say. And what I was going to say, it was like either a testament to the quality of our show or a sign of how we're still able to fool people. But I didn't want to make y'all stop listening. Thanks for listening. I don't give a fuck if you're here because you like me or hate me. Thank you. Appreciate the download. Appreciate you listening. If you want more of these, hit up our Patreon. I'll ask you for $3, and in exchange, I will trade you approximately 900 podcasts with new ones every single week. It's about the greatest deal in the history of the world. And leave us a nice review, would you? They make me feel nice when I see them. Oh, yeah, and don't forget to join our Reddit. go to look for Remember the Game on Reddit. Join our subreddit. And we're trying to get it up to 1,000 members. I'm in there every once in a while. Going to try to do an Ask Me Anything later this week and chat with people. I'm not really using Twitter and Instagram and shit anymore, except to post stuff for the show because I'm sick of arguing with fucking idiots. But, and listen, if you disagree with me, you're not an idiot. If you insult me, if you insult my dog, you're a fucking idiot. Go fuck yourself. But if you want to come into the Reddit and shoot the shit with me, I'm happy to talk with you. So you can find us over there. And I think that's everything. I'm going to thank some patrons, and then I'm going to sign off. And then we'll be back next week. Yes, we will. We should be doing a revisited episode, but I don't think we're going to. I think we're going to talk Final Fantasy, or Mega Man 7, pardon me. I don't know. I make this up as I go. Well, there'll be some form of words with my voice on them in 7 days. I'm going to thank some patrons and leave. Appreciate all of you. Talk to you later. Let's get dangerous. Cheers, so long, goodbye. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I couldn't puke up all this content every week without all of your support. The following people are at the senior executive vice president level or higher on the old Patreon box, and as such, I am contractually obligated to say their names as quickly as I can. So a huge thank you to Remember the Game Hall of Famer, Slick Motherfucking Rick, Makeshift Mellow Magic Bunny, Joe Buck Sharonic. Did I say Makeshift Mellow Magic Bunny? France. Joe Buck Sharonic, J Nasty 15. I like George. They're comfy and easy to wear. Hang on a second. I am going to fucking remember to widen this fucking Excel sheet, the first one with the names in them, so I don't get stuck by long names later on. Okay. Dan of Dissect That Film, Doug Doran, Chris Fleury, Andrew Wright, Jordan, Eldest Millennial, Lil Bunny, Fufu 89, Angry Ticks, Dave Thompson, No One Cares, Scott Brooks, Aaron Lawson, JSK Fusick, A-Town, Morgan, Zane Donovan, Ryan Kinchin, Mike Maloney, G9PSX, Mercury 869, Wolfgang, Darren, Andy Hudson, Doogie, Wolf Magic 21, Johnny from Virginia, Squints, Dean Donian, Titan 420, Zonko 504, Jeff Bergeron, Daniel, John Woodruff, Randy Barrage, Just a Fish, Tobias, Holmes, Zach Shepard, Triple Chugger 22, Elijah Burns, It's That Nerd, James, Madam Nutsich, DBXJ, Jameer Williams, Steve Dulk, Standard Ass Brian, Dude, Where's My Game, Mizuru, Juris Dr. Mario, Tyler, Phil Lencher, Joe the Sandman, Jake Carter, Laces Out Dan, Growly Wog, Beaver Boy, Thomas Smith, Leroy Westrich, Rush's Dog Walker, Stud Still Smash, Matt Babanu, Gabe, Fuzzy99, Decoy Man, a dude named Adam, Wyatt the Surgeon, who is not a surgeon, Roe, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Scary Terry, Storm Beagle, Archangel Otaku, Earl Hagel, Waffle, High Plains Drifter, Timothy Oroku Saki's Gardner, Cody Richardson, General Fury. I uncanceled my Netflix to watch wrestling. Max Legroom, James Juan Francesco, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Drugs Bad, okay. Sam Carpenter, Donnie the Dude, Walter, Nerdy Hybrid, Sleeper Hit, Squeak Nuts, Isaias, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Wimp 15, Christian Gabriel, Maverick Marty, Musty Beetle, Graham Kennedy, Timothy Sabrinsky, My Left Nut, Beef Dingleberry, Hitchy Poo, Quiet Place Queen, Christopher Britt, Zamatos, Big the Cat, Tadpole, T-Bear 87, Maverick, Brandon DeZeba, Kia Pup, Monstrous the Boner, AB Killen Works for Me, Ted Explosion, Ryan Perry, Alex R, Itchy Nutsuru, please refrain from tasting the knob, Just Car Pranks, Rated X, Darth Skywalter, Postman, Nick Creature, Youngster TK, Adam Martinet, The Big Deal, Ryan Donahue, Kevin Monroe, Can't Destroy Her, Pee-wee Squitters, Nordak, Leroy Jenkins, Lord Palmerston, Beers of War, Because 19, Infinity Rage, Marcus Mendoza, Lord Long Ron Bod Hugendom II, Roger Starbucks, Pool Cleaner, Lucas Shaman, Frosty Bear, Max Sandin, Sour Goatface, Alex Ramos, Faded Sufferance, Benjamin Atkins, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Chris Hill isn't scared, that could be anyone's ass, B Money, Penguin Milk, Fallen Snow Kiku, The Supreme Chozo Rizzo, Fill Up My Mouth with Empty Poos, E-Man Trucker, Mark Sneed, Shoeboxers, Tornado, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy, Jay Callahan, Robbie Air, Sabin, Brian Richmond, Blobby Rogers, Bula, Matt Zeus, Too Much Karma, Plow King, Cesar, Fill Up My Mouth with Farts, Liquor Like Luigi, Cody Thompson, Kevin Kellums, Pulterton H, Chaz Hammond, Elephant Cabs, Ace McGuy, Mr. Jabroni, Big Daddy Randall, Ida Yellow, Ryan Whitcomb, Daddy's Secret Little Chubby, Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, Toby OP, Scotty McGee, Alex McIntyre, Spider Cat, S. Eric Hopewell, Darbles, Cheat C. Koopa, David Schroeder, Theodore, Moncal, Diablo Spartan, Justin Blair, McCracken, Wilco, VOS Rager, Super Jess, Captain Steve N., Adam's former assistant, Shank the Red-Faced Bastard, Conebread, Wreck-It Ralpy, Dazerath, Super Saiyan, Safarios, Savage Booth, Combo Chuck, Savage Boosh. It's the first one I got wrong today. Combo Chuck, MacGyver 88, Travis Sanders, Lord Salazar, Flater Flav, Zen Paladin, Captain Assberry Juice, Doogie Bowser MD, Rest in Peace Koopalings, Thunder Leaps, Legendberry, Jinxie 425, Akiris Network, Horrornostalgia, a podcast, Game Boy Ganon, Fancy Store-Bought Dirt, Botfucker, Mikey Hag, Shane's World, and Trooper Galactus. That was a pretty good fucking batch of shout-outs. I should charge you all extra for that one. That was fucking solid. I'm out of here. Thanks so much, everybody. I really, you know what? I like doing this show. We're going to be at fucking 325 episodes next week. Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus. Thank you so much, everybody. Talk to you later. Cheers.